Embattled former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has been released from the Kuje Correctional Center after meeting up with his bail condition on Friday. The spokesperson for the Kuje Correctional Center, FCT, Adamu Duza, according to Punch newspaper, confirmed the former CBN governor release on Saturday. "I can confirm to you that Emefiele has met his bail conditions, hence he has no reason to remain in our facility. He met his bail condition and was released past 2 p.m. yesterday, Friday," he said. It would be recalled that the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Abuja, had granted 300 million naira bail to Emefiele, who is being prosecuted for alleged procurement fraud. Justice Hamza Muazu granted the bail with 2 sureties in like sum. The judge said the sureties must have certificates of occupancy and titles of properties within the Maitama district of Abuja. He also ordered Emefiele to deposit all his travel documents with the registrar of the court, adding that he must remain within the Abuja Municipal Area Council. The judge, however, ordered that Emefiele should remain in Kuje Correctional Center till he meets the bail conditions. Rejecting the objection by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to Emefiele's bail application, Justice Muazu disagreed with the anti-graft agency that the ex-CBN governor was a flight risk and could jump bail, jeopardize investigation or threaten the security of the country if granted bail. Emefiele stood trial on 6 counts bordering on procurement fraud to the tune of 1.2 billion naira. Meanwhile, after more than 4 months of investigation, the special investigator probing the CBN, Jim Obaze, said Emefiele and others embezzled billions of naira and committed other gross financial offenses. Details of the Obaze-led investigative report as captured by Punch newspaper is represented verbatim below. Obaze's report, which was submitted to President Bola Tinubu on December 9, 2023, indicated that Emefiele, who was in office from June 2014 to June 2023, engaged in fraudulent cash withdrawal of $6.23 million and perpetrated fraud in the redesign of the naira, while he allegedly kept £543.4 million in the United Kingdom. The former Central Bank of Nigeria governor, Godwin Emefiele, illegally lodged billions of naira in foreign currencies in no fewer than 593 bank accounts in the United States, United Kingdom, and China without the approval of the Apex Bank's Board of Directors and the CBN Investment Committee. The special investigator on the CBN and related entities, Jim Obaze, found that the ex-CBN governor lodged £543,482,213 in fixed deposits in UK banks alone without authorization. When contacted, counsel for Emefiele, Matthew Booker, San, asked one of our correspondents to send him a text message. He has yet to reply to the message as of the time of filing this report. Meanwhile, Obaze submitted his final report tagged, "Reports of the Special Investigation on CBN and Related Entities, Chargeable Offences," to President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday. The report partly read, "The former governor of CBN, Godwin Emefiele, invested Nigeria's money without authorization in 593 foreign bank accounts in United States, China and United Kingdom, while he was in charge. All the accounts where the billions were lodged have all been traced by the investigator." In a letter dated July 20, 2023, cited by Punch newspaper, President Bola Tinubu had named a former executive secretary of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, Obaze, as the CBN special investigator. Emefiele, who was currently released from Kuje Custodial Center, is being prosecuted for 1.2 billion naira procurement fraud. He was on Friday able to perfect the 300 million naira bail condition granted him by a high court of the Federal Capital Territory on November 22. However, documents obtained by Punch correspondent on Thursday indicated that the former Apex Bank governor might face fresh criminal charges over the handling of the CBN Naira redesign policy. Emefiele could be prosecuted for illegal issuance of currency under Section 19 of the CBN Act alongside Tunde Sabiu, a former aide to former President Muhammadu Buhari, and 12 top directors of the CBN. It was gathered that the Naira redesign policy was sold to Buhari at the instance of Sabiu and that the initiative was done without the approval of the board of the CBN. No approval. The investigator found that Buhari didn't approve of the Naira redesign. It was Tunde Sabiu who first told Emefiele in September 2020 to consider the redesign of the naira. On October 6, 2022, Emefiele wrote to Buhari that he wanted to redesign and reconfigure 1,000 nairas, 500 nairas and 200 nairas notes. The former president tagged along but did not approve the redesign as required by law. Buhari merely approved that the currency be printed in Nigeria. The redesign was only mentioned to the board of the CBN on December 15, 2022, after Emefiele had awarded the contract to the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Plea on October 31, 2022, the document noted. Emefiele was said to have contracted the redesign of the naira to De La Rue of the UK for £205,000 under the vote head of the Currency Operations Department after the NSPM said it could not deliver the contract within a short time frame. The special investigator found that 61.5 billion nairas was earmarked for the printing of the new notes, out of which 31.79 billion nairas had been paid. As of August 9, 2023, findings revealed that 769 billion nairas of the new notes were in circulation. The probe of the CBN also revealed the fraudulent use of 26.627 trillion nairas worth and means of the Apex Bank, as well as the misuse of the COVID-19 Intervention Fund. For instance, the CBN under Emefiele at its 661st meeting held on October 27, 2020, approved that the Consolidated Revenue Fund account should be debited with the sum of 124.60 billion nairas, and the decision was implemented on October 9. Similarly, the Committee of Governors at its 670th meeting held on December 9, 2020, granted anticipatory approval, pending receipt of a formal request by Mr. President and ratification by the Board of Directors, the payment of the sum of 250 billion nairas only to the federal government of Nigeria to address challenges as a result of low revenue inflow and the payment of salaries. The decision was implemented on December 15, 2020. Anticipatory approval. Also on December 30, 2020, the Committee of Governors at its 672nd meeting granted another anticipatory approval for 250 billion nairas to the federal government for payment of salaries pending receipt of a formal request by Mr. President and ratification by the Board of Directors. The Apex Bank's management through the Finance and General Purpose Committee equally granted anticipatory approval on the investment of $200 million in equity warrants of the Africa Finance Corporation. According to Section 38 of the CBN Act, 2007, the CBN could grant temporary advances to the federal government in respect of temporary deficiency of budget revenue at an interest. The section also provides that such advances are to be repaid by the end of the financial year in which they are granted, otherwise, the CBN shall be stopped from granting such advances in the subsequent year. The advance is not to be repaid by way of promissory notes, securitization or issuance of treasury bills. The CBN investigator discovered that the CBN ways and means was abused under the Buhari administration. The document further said, in an instance, the senior CBN and government officials padded what the former President Muhammadu Buhari approved with 198,963,162,187 nairas. There are instances where no approvals are received from the former president and yet 500 billion nairas is taken and debited to ways and means. There are more shocking instances where the erstwhile CBN governor and his 4 deputy governors connived to steal outright in order to balance the books of the CBN. This was by violently taking money from the consolidated revenue accounts and then charging it to ways and means. It was a total of 124.60 billion nairas. They even created the narration as a presidential subsidy and expanded the ways and means portfolio to accommodate crime. The CBN officers and even the then acting CBN governor could not produce the presidential approval of most of the expenses described as ways and means. When confronted, to provide the breakdown of the supposed 22.7 trillion nairas that was presented to the 9th National Assembly to illegally securitize as ways and means financing, they were only able to partially explain a total of 9.063 trillion nairas or 9.2 trillion nairas depending on which official you are considering his submission, and an unreasonable attribution of non-negotiated interest element of 6.5 trillion nairas. This shows that this was the point where the officers of the immediate past administration, as well as the erstwhile CBN governor and his 4 deputy governors, connived, defrauded, and stole from the commonwealth of our country with the aid of civil servants. Continuing, the report said, the true position of the ways and means as documented from the reconciliation between the CBN and the Ministry of Finance at the time is 4,449,149,411,584 naira and 54 kobo. This may have been the main reason the past administration hurriedly sought that the advances of 22.7 trillion naira be securitized by the 9th National Assembly on December 19, 2022, which they also hurriedly did despite the fact that it contravenes Section 38 of the CBN Act, 2007. Legal fees. The CBN under Emefiele was also said to have spent 1.7 billion naira on questionable legal fees for 19 cases instituted against the Naira redesign policy. The investigator also discovered how Emefiele misrepresented the presidential approval for the NESI Stabilization Strategy Limited approved by former President Goodluck Jonathan. The document read, the presidential approval granted by then President Goodluck Jonathan was rightly stated by him, NESI should be a company limited by guarantee, but the Committee of Governors misled the board of the CBN by relying on non-existent advice by the Office of Attorney General and Minister of Justice to incorporate a company limited by shares for which the allotted share capital exceeded the authorized share capital. See 318th meeting of the Committee of Governors held in January 2015. And allotting unauthorized share capital to Mr. Godwin Emefiele and Mr. Mudashiru Olaitan without lawful approval by the President. 1.325 billion naira was stolen pre-int and the money funneled to 4 companies, including a legal firm which got 300 million naira. Between 2015 and 2021, an investment company was said to have collected unlawfully a total of 4.9 billion naira. A breakdown indicated that the firm received 262 million naira in 2015, 464 million naira in 2016, 550 million naira in 2017, 726 million naira in 2018, 762 million naira in 2019, 684 million naira in 2020 and 1.44 billion naira in 2021, totaling 4.9 billion naira. Emefiele also allegedly paid 17.2 billion naira to 14 deposit money banks participating in the Nigerian Electricity Market Stabilization Facility. A total of 14 DMVs engaged in the manipulation by unlawfully arranging and collecting 1.9535% of the total disbursements paid to the DMVs participating in the Nigerian electricity market stabilization facility. The fees are paid to the banks in the ratio of their contributions to the NEMSF disbursement, according to external auditors' notes to the financial statements of NESI Stabilization Strategy Limited. The CBN also went further by authorizing the issuance of debenture for the NESI SPV, starting with 64.8 billion naira in 2015. By 2021, 952 billion naira debenture had been issued. The investigator said the money was diverted from public funds, the document further stated. It was further gathered that Emefiele could be tried for alleged manipulation of the Naira exchange rate, fraudulent implementation of the Naira project, and exemption of 3 foreign firms from paying income tax. Meanwhile, the investigation has uncovered the strange illegal withdrawal, theft of $6.23 million from the CBN vault by 2 persons who used a forged presidential letter. The suspects currently in custody were said to have presented a forged letter on February 7 and at 2023, purportedly signed by Buhari to withdraw the money allegedly meant for payment for foreign election observation missions.